Today on Locked On Rockies, Brenton Doyle. We know the glove is good. We know there were changes to the swing late in the season. Is he the Rockies player with the biggest upside?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the second day of November in the year 2023. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You are in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day on the Locked On Rockies podcast, on your favorite streaming services, and the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show by dropping your Rockies thoughts, your Rockies hot takes, how you're feeling about the Colorado Rockies into the comments below in our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day, and we appreciate your subscription to the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Really do appreciate you guys tuning in. It has been a wonderful turnout, and we continue to have more people checking us out, and that's thanks to all of you out there for telling people out there that you like the show. So we really appreciate it, and we appreciate you tuning in here throughout the off season as we have a new World Series champion. And maybe the Rockies hopefully can get on the track. And it kind of opens up an interesting question, I think, with the D-backs and everything. I mean, can they recreate this past year? And really, when they look at it, it was a year where they played their best ball at the right time and ran out of gas. So how much do they really need to change, and how much will they change? It'll be interesting to see, especially as how aggressive do they want to buy and build, or who sticks around, and or what moves are made, because as Rockies fans know, especially with our only the one trip, and Arizona's been there and gotten the deed done in the past, getting back there is a very difficult challenge. So we'll see what Arizona has to do to bounce back. And congratulations to John Gray and the Texas Rangers for winning the series there. Big time moment for them. And it shows. I mean, two teams in the World Series that the Rockies could learn a whole lot from. And the question will remain is, will they? and it's fascinating to continue to hear or just see some tweets, and it's hard to tell which ones are actually like jokes and which ones aren't, and especially with Twitter and verification and who's saying all that stuff. But there's just still so many jabs through my trending things on Twitter of the Rockies, and they're aimless and they don't have the direction. The Rockies are one of the teams that haven't won a World Series, but they're a team that's doesn't have a plan. And it's just so draining and so annoying that's the narrative around the Rockies. And we'll dive more into it throughout the offseason. But I really got to hope and wonder that Dick Monfort is tired of the reputation of his team, and he's looking to use this year as a stepping stone to building something up to something really great. And one of those things that I think was an example of the Rockies hitting on someone was Brenton Doyle. And he is our Rockies player in review for today's episode. And we're going to talk about him here on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. And then you can check out tomorrow where we talk about Nolan Jones, two of the most exciting Rockies rookies from this year. We'll pick up with more rookies next week and continue to work our way, mixing these in as well. I know we had a couple of other podcasts that were in the review, because I don't want it to always just be the same sort of thing. We got to mix in some other Rockies conversation while we review the players and navigate the offseason together. But, from a name that I didn't know at all, and I'll be totally honest and totally clear about the fact that Brenton Doyle was someone that maybe I've talked about or heard about in passing and heard from here or this or little murmurs or anything, but I didn't know much about Brenton Doyle. And then seeing him this year, he is the type of guy that makes you excited about the future, and the guy that with the last 2 months of the season shows potentially the most upside for the Rockies. I mean, if you look at the metrics and you look at what Brenton Doyle was able to accomplish this year alone, amidst really bad offensive numbers, no ways about it. The guy was still elite in a ton of advanced metrics. He's in the great category as a fielder. We know he's one of the best. We know that arguably he was the best defensive center fielder in all of baseball last year. When you're looking at the advanced metrics here from StatCast, his range, arm value, arm strength, all 99 there. So that means if you're playing a video game, he's maxed out in these categories, mixed in on top with the fact that his sprint speed's at a 98. And we know that, and they mixed in with 22 stolen bags and all of those defensive run saves and the defensive metrics of Brenton Doyle match up to this guy being, there's a superstar potential there. And he can reach that even by just a modest improvement in offense. If Brenton Doyle can bat around 250, I think one of the things that is a huge takeaway from Brenton Doyle's offense this year, even mixed with everything, was 10 home runs. 10 home runs there in those 399 plate appearances for him. And that's surprising to me. And that just means that there's a little bit of a sneaky pop in there. And hopefully with some of the adjustments that we were seeing from Brenton Doyle towards the end of the year, he can take those steps becoming more of an average hitter, because when you do look at him, go back to that Baseball Savant page, that batting value is really, really bad. He's on the low ends of just about everything. But one thing that's encouraging, though, when you're looking at it as well, and mixed with that 10 home run there, Doyle finishing at 22 with 22 stolen bases and 10 home runs, always a nice little benchmark there of 2010. Barrel percentage for Brenton Doyle, 52%. So when he's hitting the ball and when he's making contact, he is making good. He's barreling it up a good percentage of the time, and he's making a good solid contact. Unfortunately, we're just seeing the strike percentage and the strikeout percentage, the whiff percentage, and the walk percentage all far too low. But these are hopefully things the Rockies, as a team that prides themselves as a development and a team that can develop hitters, this should hopefully be something we can see Brenton Doyle take steps forward in. And then if he does, Brenton Doyle is going to be a force. The Rockies are going to have two really interesting outfielders doing two things in similar but different ways, with Brenton Doyle not being as much of a power threat as Nolan Jones in an extra base threat. But Brenton Doyle can be the one, if he's able to get on base more and be able to be more of a threat on the base paths, the stock just continues to rise, and the potential there should hopefully be things that the Rockies are able to help him adjust and work with. Especially one other thing, and one key thing that's really interesting too, when you're looking in at the splits of Brenton Doyle from this year, is he was actually better on the road. So this potential as well, where if he can figure out and get more comfortable hitting at Coors, mixed in with being someone that can travel a little bit better and being someone a little bit more confident in his ability to go from Coors and play on the road, that's an added bonus. But I don't know how confident we can be in sitting here and saying that we expect Brenton Doyle to take a massive jump forward offensively next year. So what should we consider? What should we hope for? And what do we think we'll see from the exciting center fielder for the Rockies? Let's talk about that coming up here in segment number 2. But before we do that, got to tell you about some of the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. That is FanDuel, America's number one sportsbook. And guess what? They got you covered this NFL season with this bonus bet offer. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. So if you're feeling confident about the Broncos in their next matchup, or maybe you feel confident about the Steelers or the Titans tonight, go to FanDuel, check out all of the betting action, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and lots more. I like props. Props are always fun for me. Check it out and everything going on at FanDuel.com. The app is super easy to use. And when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off this NFL season, you can get that offer of $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. Check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team's Colorado Rockies, you found the right spot. That's what we do around here. We're chit-chatting Rockies baseball, reviewing Brenton Doyle today. And, man, I get so excited about Brenton Doyle because it's the speed, man. It's when the cutting down runs in the outfield mixed with 22 stolen bases. This is the type of excitement that builds with, hopefully, if the Rockies are truly as confident in developing players as they believe they are, can start turning him into some form of a hitter. I just think that he has the potential to be a really impactful player. So he's not going to have the Corbin Carroll type offensive impact. I think that's hoping too high, but he's going to have he'll at least have a Corbin Carroll type effect where when he's on base, he's a threat. And when he's in the outfield, he's a threat. So that makes it a super, super nice dynamic for Doyle. Added on top to the fact that his defense helps Rockies pitching out, which is a godsend. One of the best things you can do to help out your pitcher, especially when you have to deal with Coors Field, and the fact that this rotation is going to be in a tough spot this year in 2024, or this upcoming season in 2024, the defense is going to come in handy. The Rockies now are going into 2024 with someone that has done something that really has never been done in center field at Coors Field before, and statistically was miles ahead of other center fielders when you're talking about defensive metrics. Brenton Doyle has almost every tool to be a complete five-tool player. We just need to see that offense step forward, and the Rockies can't mess this up. I think Brenton Doyle will be a key piece into the Rockies getting back on track quickly and getting back on track as if this truly is part of the plan. We were talking about keeping the right guys and getting the most out of the guys yesterday. It's, again, the nagging thing in the back of my head is I don't sit here right now and fully believe that this Rockies coaching staff and the Rockies philosophy going in right now and the Rockies approach to preparation and handling games is going to help them cut down on their chase and their strikeout percentage right now. I know there was a lot of young rookie guys and they went through the knocks and they were getting their major league at bats and so on and so forth. And I do believe we'll see a slight dip there. But when we're still seeing issues with Ryan McMahon, when we're still seeing high strikeouts from the other veterans and such on this team, it does give you pause, because the problem is the Rockies are going to be bogged down by Brenton Doyle's inability. If he isn't able to make that step on offense, that will hamper them considerably, especially at the bottom of the lineup, because Brenton Doyle's defense and speed, he's in the lineup. There's just, if he is healthy and able to play, there is no doubt in the mind that Brenton Doyle should be the starting center fielder for the Colorado Rockies. The defense is that elite, and the speed is that much of a factor. But the Rockies are going to have to get more production elsewhere in the lineup, or hope that they can pad around Brenton Doyle if he isn't able to make that step forward on offense. But the thing to be encouraged by is the last 2 months of the season for Brenton Doyle, we saw a tremendous improvement when it comes to the numbers in those months. And we also saw him make an adjustment that really should make things encouraging. And we talked about this, and I'm revisiting an article, so I don't want to rehash too much of what we said. I just want to go back and revisit it real quickly, because we already talked about this in an episode about focusing on Brenton Doyle's offense before. But the fact of the matter is, when Brenton Doyle made a change to his stance later on in the season, he has been able to really make an adjustment and helped him finish the season looking like a player that just, if that's the player we get, my oh my, the impact from Brenton Doyle is going to be considerable for the Colorado Rockies. And so since he changed the swing and since I believe this is September 30th here, and this was towards the end of the let's see, I think September 5th. Yeah. So since September 5th, Doyle went 22 for 79, 279 with 305 OBP and a 481 slugging. Also had 2 home runs, 4 doubles, 3 triples, 16 RBI, and 20 strikeouts. He had 6 multi-hit games, more than any other month, and had a 77.8% contact rate, one of the highest on the team during the stretch. Dropping his strikeout rate to 24.1% was also an improvement. By making more contact, Doyle ended up raising his batting average to over 200 by season's end. That's the encouraging sign. That's the thing to be hopeful for and believe that the Rockies are figuring something out with Brenton Doyle and are tinkering in and lining up something that is working for him and working for him really well. Now he gets to go through the offseason, gets to go into spring, really gets to bring this approach and be able to really fine-tune it and be able to set himself up for a much more effective offensive approach, which is going to have a drastic difference. I mean, if Brenton Doyle's able to start the season off running, he's going to be able to he hopefully now has the tools and the adjustments and the coaching to navigate the difficult spells that we know are going to happen in the season. Everyone goes through cold spells. Everything goes up and down throughout the 162 games. It's only natural and it's only a guarantee that it's going to happen. So for Brenton Doyle to have this encouraging finish to the season only raises the interest and only raises the intrigue of his 2024. Because something that was such a negative for him in 2023, something that was the obvious downside of Brenton Doyle's 2023, could turn into an upside and could potentially skyrocket him into a position to making him and Nolan Jones a really fearsome duo in the outfield and 2 players that could be a definite force to making the Rockies back into a offensive threat of a team, especially when you add in the speed. That is something it's so exciting to have a fast base stealing type player for the Rockies. And if he's able to get on base more, especially through walks, I just think the upside is so tremendous for Brenton Doyle. I think the potential for Brenton Doyle is massive because there's no real reason for me to sit and doubt the defense anymore. I mean, or at any point, I don't imagine how he's going to change as a defender unless that he's making some sort of a change in approach. I mean, as long as the health stays there, I think Brenton Doyle is going to be one of the biggest threats in the outfield of all of baseball. And it's players like Brenton Doyle are the reason why in 2024 the Rockies can be the team that starts bubbling up and start raising some eyebrows to set up a run sooner rather than later. If things start falling into place that it appears the Rockies are trying to build towards and build around with some of these guys. But again, without having a true, full, clear understanding of this team's direction and identity and where they want to go, you still just question in the back of your mind of like, what, are they going to handle and are they going to build off this? And are they going to build effectively off of this? But to see, and just to give you some more stats here for you to finish the look at Brenton Doyle's final month of the season. It's he finished September batting 261, 286, 477 with an OPS of 763. It was easily his best month of the season. May gave it a good run for his money. as well, where he had a nice solid line. But September, really great great stuff. October, the numbers look good there too. August, still a struggle, but as we mentioned, the swing change coming in September, and you see the immediate impact mixed with even before the swing change that he did have a nice strong May. So there was even that potential there too. So hopefully now with the building comfort and a building confidence in the changes he made at the end of the season, he's going to be a completely different offensive threat. Hopefully. Got to see it come to the fruition. Got to see it come together for next year. And but the question is, can he get now the fact that Brenton Doyle is going to be a name that's on the Rockies roster and not someone that we are thinking about going up or down? Is he going to be able to steal some more bases for the Rockies? Is it possible that he's a 30 stolen base and 10 home run type of guy next year? Let's talk about that coming up in segment number 3. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast for free and streaming on your favorite streaming service, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Rockies podcast on your favorite streaming service and the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. I realize I didn't fully attribute the story we read from in the second, but we talked about there. It's a piece from Skylar Timmons there from Purple Row about the Brenton Doyle swing. So if you wanted to look that up, you can see more about that. But like we said, talked about that piece in a piece in the past as well, a piece, an episode, whatever you want to call it, in the past there as well. So we've been talking about Brenton Doyle, and we've been talking about the fact of the matter is, while he finishes as a .9 WAR player for the Rockies, according to Baseball Reference, and there are things to be concerned about, which should hamper the expectations of Brenton Doyle a little bit, just because things happen and development's hard and XYZ. I still think that he's going to be someone that just has that we can look and hopefully we can look at over the first 2 months of the season and be like, whoa, we're seeing something. We're seeing a different guy. We're seeing a more confident guy. We're seeing the new approach, and we're seeing it come together because he is the type of guy that will really shake up this lineup. Brenton Doyle will be the type of guy that if he takes the strides forward in offense would be key in the Rockies winning ball games late, driving in late runs or setting up winning opportunities, or he just because of that speed and the fact that he's willing to be aggressive on the base path. So I think if the real potential upside for Brenton Doyle, and I don't know if I can sit here and fully be confident and say he can go at 30-20 next year, because the 10 home runs, I mean, I don't think we can really count on that big of a step forward for Brenton Doyle offensively in terms of power, a doubling of home runs. But 30 stolen bases isn't going to be out of the question for Brenton Doyle if he's able to get on base more. And I really hope the Rockies let him rip. I mean, I really let it rip and really use base stealing effectively and use it as a weapon next year. Be aggressive, learn, and make it part of the philosophy, because Brenton Doyle is just itching to be that player the Rockies approach with the next level mindset, really taking the modern game of baseball approach to him. Get him better, get him great with bunting too. I mean, it didn't work. The D-backs were unfortunately unable to drive in runs after in the game 5, but they were able to set up big time or scoring situations using bunting and their speed as well. So use bunting, use the speed that way as well. Take small ball and add it and make Brenton Doyle the biggest small ball threat that the Rockies have. Well, hopefully tapping into a little bit of a power potential that we've seen. 10 home runs and the finish to that season with those extra base hits and RBIs and doubles and triples. We know that potential's there. But I'm not going to fully count on Brenton Doyle being the one hitting those. I mean, I'm going to be fine with walks and singles from Doyle as well. But with that little power pop potential, especially down deeper in the lineup, he's going to be someone that just can add a tremendous amount of depth to this lineup by becoming a closer to 250 hitter and being able to increase the on base and power numbers just a bit. I think that it's going to be a bit of a tough task. It's going to require him to really continue to work on chasing the ball less and striking out less. But that goes for all of the Rockies. One of the best signs in 2024 for the Colorado Rockies is a step forward offensively for Brenton Doyle, because we know the speed's going to be there, and we know he can play defense, and we know he can handle center field at Coors Field. So the biggest question mark surrounding him will be the offense. And if we get to see increased and better offense, look out. The Rockies have a very dynamic and very good center fielder. Someone that I think will have immense upside and immense potential, leading into pairing with one of the most interesting rookie storylines that flew under the radar in Nolan Jones. The Rockies have two names and who knows what could happen with Sean Bouchard as well, with that coming back, and what this Rockies outfield might be looking like and might be capable of here as it goes into 2024. As we, when the storylines and when people ask you what is there to be excited about the Rockies in 2024, you tell them about Brenton Doyle, because he's one of the reasons, and he's easily one of the Rockies to watch going in through spring and going into 2024. Just keeping the fingers crossed, as you got to do for everybody, that the health stays good and everyone stays healthy. Because if a healthy 2024 of Brenton Doyle, I think the sky, the upside, the potential, one of the biggest and most interesting storylines and most impactful storylines for the Colorado Rockies in 2023 or 2024. My apologies. So I don't think he'll finish as a 30-20 player, but I think he could do 30-10 and maybe 30-12 to 15 as well, with a few more homers there, with some more consistent playing time and going into the year knowing that he's going to be the starter. So I don't know. What do you think? What's your thoughts of Brenton Doyle? How did you feel about Brenton Doyle's 2023? Are you as excited about his potential upside as I am? Are you more concerned? Are you concerned about the Rockies' abilities to develop a player like Brenton Doyle? Let me know in the comments section here on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. You can also find us on Twitter at LO Rockies, and you can find us on your favorite streaming service as well. Locked On Rockies. Your subscription to the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel is the best way to help the show. We really do appreciate that, and we do appreciate all of you everydayers out there for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, check out Locked On MLB. You can go get the World Series recap there with Sully and Bryce Patrick of Locked On Rangers. If you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, and Locked On Buffs got you covered. Talking Nolan Jones tomorrow on the pod, so don't miss out on our latest Rocky in review there. And thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Rockies. I am Paul Holden saying so long.